on both X and YouTube in the coming minutes. I'll just make sure it's both live. I'm pretty sure we are live. Let me refresh the browsers. Yep, we are live. Excellent. Happy New Year, Craig. How are you, mate?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's fresh year. Obviously, we started with a bit of a pump and a dump a few days ago, which was pretty crazy. How was New Year's, mate?
Yeah, it was good. It's probably similar to yours for those who aren't near us on the Gold Coast or sort of Queensland. We had, a hurricane, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Got flooded. We had people around my area without power for about a week. Luckily enough, I didn't have that issue. So I think I was the only person where in the suburb I'm in with power. Even Macca's didn't have power. So if they don't have power, then no one's got power, right? It was a pretty hectic start to the New Year's. It was flooding and hurricanes and people's Christmas trampolines ending up in the neighbour's yard and stuff. So, yeah, it was just a little reminder that crypto isn't the only thing out there. Other than that, no, it was a good New Year's. I didn't do a heck of a lot. I drank at home more or less. And what about you?
Yeah, mate, I had a pretty nice time just with some family and some friends and stuff, so that was really nice. And my brother-in-law actually lives down at the Gold Coast, and yeah, they didn't have power for about 2 days, which is like pretty crazy when you think about like times like these. So I'm glad. I think they've got power back now. I think definitely they definitely do. So some good times. Hey, like I actually live in Brizzy, and so I actually saw some of the fireworks from my place, so it worked out really well. So
yeah, I saw that on your Twitter.
Yeah.
You just got to sit in your backyard and check out the fireworks. I was like,
yeah, man, it's pretty chill. So it's good. All right, I think I put the link in most places. I just got to put it on Twitter, but Twitter is live, so people can watch there if they would like. Yeah, we got 25 viewers there and 35 on YouTube. Excellent. Well, GM, everyone, thanks for being here. Obviously, at any time, if you have any questions, please chuck them in the Twitter chat or on YouTube, because we will get to them and we can show them up on the screen as well. So if you have any questions about whatever topic it is that we covered today, please do chuck them in the chats. Just a reminder, obviously, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. I also have Craig's channel down below in the description. Obviously, if you're on X, please support us by following us both on X. We do this weekly at the moment, so it's working out great. We've been doing this for about a month now, Craig, I'd say.
Yeah, this is probably probably is a month, probably about our fifth, I reckon now.
Yeah, so, it could be more.
Yeah, on an accidental roll. Good morning, everybody out there. I hope everybody's kicking some ass. There's a few things to talk about today. Greenie and I have just woken up for the Southern Hemisphere, so I'm sort of just catching up what the market's done, and it looks like Bitcoin's pretty much where it was, or not far off pre-dump. So
yeah. So we might get stuck straight into the market. Let me just pull up my screen. And there we go. All right, so we'll do a quick market recap, guys. Obviously, we got flushed out a couple of days ago. There's rumors. There are rumors that the ETFs could actually hit some late news today. So that's obviously in America time. So it'll probably be Saturday early for us if that does drop. But US Friday is rumors that the ETF news could be upon us this week rather than next week, which would be a week early. So I'm very curious to see if that does happen. But obviously, if we come to the markets, BTC is actually pumped. Holy moly. It's really nice. Look at that chart. So we'll dive onto TradingView very shortly. But BTC is pumping. ETH is, again, just a stable coin at this stage. I know, and we'll probably talk about this a bit later, Craig, but I have liquidated quite a bit of my ETH this week just to have cash and to deploy it into other plays. Obviously, Solana's back at 106, so it's basically recovered nearly all of that wick that it would have had earlier this week. Again, I might just put it by the 24-hour returns. Beam, I know Craig and I, we definitely are both Beam holders, so that's great to see that it's pumped 25% in the past 24 hours. That's pretty insane, actually. Celestia, which I do have exposure to, so TIA, it's also pumped 22% in the last 24 hours. We scroll down a little bit further. Casper's up again. It's been kind of chilling for a while, so it's good to see. I've had that for a while. Injective's up 10%. And a few others are starting to trend up, which is great to see. So there's plenty to talk about today, Craig. Where did you want to start with?
I guess Craig Call gave me 358 during the bull. Nice. I wish I got that. Look, the Bitcoin dump was, for me, not really unexpected, and I kind of felt like the news kind of was followed the chart movement. The delayed ETF. I'm not sure that that's the reason why it dumped. I think for me personally, I'd written a couple of notes. Funny enough, I did a bit of TA Greenie, and
I love it, bro.
I was looking for about a 38K Bitcoin retrace. So I was sort of waiting for that. I mean, I guess the word dump you can use. It wasn't much of a dump, really, was it? I guess people get a bit carried away, and alts kind of tend to bleed a bit more than Bitcoin. But what was about a 3K, 4K?
So it's about 10% move in the space of one candle, which is what it went from 45 to 4. Yeah, no, about 4K, 4 or 5K sort of move.
Yeah, and then sort of alts sort of, fell a little bit harder. So lucky enough, I was awake when the dump happened. So I saw a big wick down. So I sort of ran to my computer, looked at the altcoins that I knew I wanted to grab, and grabbed a few alts for about 20 or 15% discount, maybe around there. So for me, I sort of had been waiting for it. Maybe some people got caught off guard, but no, myself. Look, it's a weird thing when you see them just go red like that, isn't it? It kind of reminds me of about 2 years ago. But this time it was a little bit different. I had a bit more fiat ready to go. So for me personally, a good thing. And I think Bitcoin had to chill out anyway. It probably still needs to. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
If anything, we only dumped to the bottom of the previous consolidation range. Like if you look at that chart on the screen right now, we've literally been in this range since the start of December. So if anything, the dump, it was quite a large dump. It was 200 billion in one candle on the total crypto market cap, but we will look at that shortly. But it's actually recovered that quite easily as well. And obviously the dominant sort of altcoins have outperformed that. But it's just crazy because literally about 4 hours before the dump, I legit did the same thing, Craig. So here I literally said, I decided to liquidate some of my ETH. I'll discuss my reasons on the DGen show. And then we were on the DGen show and the dump actually happened. So we were live. Perfect. We caught it live. And then obviously, I don't know. I just found I think with the experience, and we talk about this often, it's the experience that you just have in the market that you want to have some liquid cash. And if we've been up only since October. So it's definitely not a bad idea to liquidate some form of your portfolio, whether that's taking profit in a coin that has gone up 5x, or for me, that was I'm just holding ETH, it's doing nothing. I can make this work for me elsewhere. So that's what my decision was around ETH. But again, we'll come back to the charts, obviously. And so yeah, you can see Bitcoin just literally tapped down here. It literally bounced and is back up, breaking out, if honesty, right here. So that could be, again, a bit of sort of forefront of where maybe we're just getting ahead of the news. That could potentially drop tomorrow, our time, but today for the US. But again, it could happen next week. We're unconfirmed at this stage. But yeah, it's good to see that the market did recover like that. That shows me that there's lots of strength in the market, but it's also a reason why you want to have liquid on the side so you can buy those altcoins that you actually have strong conviction in, or you can buy some Bitcoin if that's the one that you're after and that sort of thing. So lots to check out today. So let's have a look again. So this is the one that I've been keeping a close eye on. So this is Bitcoin dominance. If you zoom out a bit, essentially anytime this trends up, you want to be sort of holding your hedges in Bitcoin, and anytime it trends down, it means that altcoins sort of go on a big rally, right? And so that's an easy way as you can digest this chart on the screen. But if we do zoom in, we are currently moving up in Bitcoin dominance. However, I have drawn this, and like it broke this around the 20th of December, which did see a bit of an altcoin rally. But we have this V-shaped recovery off a random sort of area. But what I'm really looking at is whether we can retest this range up here. And if it does break that, then BTC is going to rally. And I think what sends BTC really high is obviously this ETF narrative, right? And if we get that bullish news, then holy moly, this chart will just go ballistic in my opinion. And the same chart with Bitcoin, right? Then the alternative chart that I like to look at is actually total 3, which is essentially your altcoins. Okay. And look at the strength here, guys. This is what Craig and I are talking about. We've been up only, right? Look at this. We've been up only. This is total crypto market cap. That's 43% in altcoins, okay? Up only since October. So we definitely, whether it comes on the news, maybe the news is negative, okay? Then I'm preparing for that. And then maybe you want to deploy some capital in a dump there. Or if the news is positive, then obviously I think we rally for a bit and then we probably move up move down after that for a month or two, in my thoughts. What do you think there, Craig?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm waiting for, I think I'm sort of waiting for, well, to see if Bitcoin sort of retraces soon, and then we get Bitcoin kind of showing its strength. I think altcoins are going to probably take a back seat maybe for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Bitcoin's going to do its thing. So I'm kind of, me personally, I'm kind of keeping a bit of dry powder on the side now, which is one of my lessons from last bull run. I kind of got a little bit carried away and I deployed sort of everything I had or close to, and then when the pullbacks came, I couldn't take advantage, and it became a negative situation rather than a positive. And sometimes these these dumps can be less scary if you've got a bit of money on the side, a bit of conviction, and a plan. So I sort of it was quite interesting, same as you with selling your ETH. About a day before the Bitcoin dump, I'd gone through my altcoins and made notes of ones I wanted to go heavier in when there was a chance to. And it was quite funny. It was probably 24 hours before, and then bang, the dump happened. So I could jump on my computer, went to my notes, boom, boom, just checked my notes, saw what I wanted to go into, quite mechanically, I suppose you could say, rather than emotionally. And then just bought the three I wanted. There was three, just boom, 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 bought them, said thank you very much, and went and watched some TV. So it was nice to it was nice to feel like I was in control. I don't know if I was or not, but look, I think all the buys, everything's bounced back. Whether they hold there, don't know. But I suppose at the end of the day, my question to myself was, do I think this is the top for the bull? And the answer was no.
Absolutely not.
So the purchase was fine. If it goes lower, it just means I'm going to get stuck for a little while longer. But the way I'm looking at it at the moment, those alts I'm in now, I'm expecting to sit in them for about a year to 18 to 2 years. So
for sure. And I think that consensus aligns with what I've been thinking for a while as well. I think we're at that stage of the market where any sort of 20% move or lower is definitely a buy. It's a buy for the longer term. I think anywhere from 6 months to 18 months is where I'll be looking to take profit. So again, and this is another reason, like this is ETH on the chart. Look how weak it is. Like if you just looked at BTC, the strength in BTC is clear compared to ETH. So that was another reason I liquidated my ETH. If we look at the BTC versus ETH chart, this is a big reason that I decided to liquidate it. It's breaking down for a long time. It's been lower high, lower high, lower high, and then lower low, lower low, lower lows. That is super bearish. And as you can see here, ETH might be looking to make some new lows in comparison to BTC, which we haven't not seen since mid-2022. So I think if you're playing this market at the moment, you want to definitely have BTC, and then you definitely probably want to have your altcoin bags, because altcoins have been outperforming. Again, my main one obviously is that Solana. So if you look here, this is Solana versus ETH, and the sort of main reason that I've held Solana for a long time is because it's outperformed. Okay, and so as you can see here on the screen, guys, it bounced off its 0.318 fib, which is super bullish. Okay, and what I have said is that either this consolidates here, or it looks like we might get another retest and bounce higher, or if we get this positive news, then this just rips higher straight away. So that's the scenario that I'm looking at for Solana. Obviously, we'll start to dive through some of our altcoin picks. Again, this is Solana here versus USD. It's bounced, it's recovered that candle already. So if I was to track that, you can see that this has bounced quite high, 23% recovery already, right? So there's strength in the conviction play. So that's Solana for me. Radium's another one that I have. That's a big DEX. Obviously, we zoomed out. So this is just showing you how much potential Radium still has to get to its all-time high. So 12x, literally. But if we zoom in a bit closer, you'll see just how much Radium has been outperforming this market already. And if you were someone who got in October, you'd be up an immense amount, 7x. I think I was around this sort of region here, early November sort of time. So I'm currently around that 3 to 4x, which is fantastic. But I think Radium is a no-brainer. Okay, with the masses flooding to Solana, Radium is one of the top dexes on there. It's easy to use an Orca. Jupiter airdrop is coming out very soon, so that will be interesting to say which sort of aligns more, whether it's Jupiter or whether it's Radium or whether they both just succeed. I definitely think they both do. But that's Radium, obviously. AVAX is one that Craig and I are both in for sure. Again, the dev side of AVAX, the gaming side of AVAX is super bullish. As you can see here, we broke out above previous resistance over here from 2021, which was super bullish. But I did put a post out and say that it needs to hold that level for me to remain bullish. But obviously, we have broken down with that dump. Again, this is showing me strength because AVAX has bounced and it is still green this week, so 18%. But I would love to see AVAX sort of get back above that 42 level to show me that it wants continuation higher. So whether that can be a sort of grind up here, come up, break above, retest, bang up into sort of highs for this cycle is what I'd be looking at there. I think AVAX under 40 is a steal. I think Solana under 100 is a steal. IMX is one that I know Craig and I have been talking about for a long time. Again, it's broken out very aggressively the past couple months. It did sort of break this lower time frame structure, but it has since recovered since that dip a couple of days ago. Again, it's showing you strength, so 26% on IMX. So this is what I mean. If you can catch those dips, right, you're already up 25% in your bags. And say you're a bit of a larger bag holder, then 25% on like 10K, that's a lot of money. So I think this is why you want to have a bit of liquid, or if you have a day job that's still paying you out, you want to make sure you have that cash ready if you do see a big dip, because I think we definitely get the dips, and a healthy market definitely has dips. If you go back and look at previous market cycles, we definitely get big dips. So if we just to show guys how that sort of works, if we look at Bitcoin last cycle, look at these dips, okay? So this is when we're running up. Look at this big one here. Before we even got that blow off top, we moved down 32%. So that's way bigger than the dip that we just saw the other day, okay? And if I was to zoom in further, this one just here, okay? We peaked there, we went down there. Again, that's a 25% dip. So they happen quite regularly, okay? And I think it's a great opportunity for me, who has that experience, and for you, Craig, who has that experience, to buy the dip, because a lot of people don't. They get feared. They probably sell into the dip, and then they chase it when it pumps again, right? What you want to do is buy red and never buy green.
Yeah, it gets pretty. I feel like it gets pretty simple this time of the run, this time of the year, in regards to what you just said. 20. If anytime you can cop a 20-30% dip, I feel like going from my experience from last run, unless it's the end of the run, then you will pretty much make money. So, and I don't think we're at the end. I don't think we're not even at the middle. No. So it makes the decision to DCA in for me a lot easier at the moment. I feel safe. Yeah. I want to touch a bit of wood since I said that. It was a good time. It wasn't a bad thing. Bitcoin decided to do its thing, and it's funny you mentioned IMX. That's one of the coins that I did cop. On that dump. For me, it was good. And what you mentioned before, seeing the relative strength to each of those alts you mentioned, the bounce that we had was just showed me that the market's not nearly done yet. Just green candles all around. I'm just looking at my portfolio now. And Tier and Beam, they're the ones.
Yeah, let's look at them. They're obviously big narratives. Look at this. If you could have traded this, like I completely forgot about it. So obviously we retouched the bottom. I think I would have drawn this last week, Craig, when I was with you, actually.
Yeah, I think you did.
And so if you look here, guys, this is a massive breakout for Beam, and Beam needed that consolidation because it was it was just up only since October. If you do have a look at it, there's the chart, guys. But if we have a look at how much it actually did retrace, this is a great. It retraced 40%, so that's great value. I think I said that on the show last week. 40% as a retrace is great value. Obviously, it went even further. It went 50% because of that flash crash. So if you manage to catch Beam down here, you've already made 64% to current price action and 70% to that pump just we saw yesterday. So again, this is what I mean, guys. You want to be making sure that you're getting in to these dips. Don't buy the green candles unless the best way to buy it is consolidation, or if we see a big dump.
Yeah. I've sort of told myself now, no green buys, no euphoric green buys, no matter how bullish Twitter/X is on the timeline. With people screaming, this is going to do another 10x. I know it's exciting for people. You go, oh my God, I've got to get into this. And that's one of the things I did last bull run, probably incorrectly, was finding coins that I liked and deploying the total amount I wanted to into that coin versus rather just, in stages DCAing in. And then if you have a dump, you end up sitting in it for X amount of time. So yeah, Beam was great. I think Tia's just hit all-time high.
Yeah, it has. So if we look at that right now, it's pumped in this candle today. It's pumped 32%. It hit at 40%. But obviously, if you caught the dip, guys, again, this is what I mean. It's up 66%. Where else can you make 66% in one day, right?
Yeah, that candle was insane on that. I was watching it yesterday, and I was like, "Holy shit, this thing's gonna go, man!"
Yeah.
So that was a nice buy. That.
It was. What have you looked into much around Say? Because it's definitely hit crypto Twitter at the moment. A lot of people are calling it the next Solana. I don't think Solana is. There is no next Solana, in my opinion, at the current prices and the current sort of things that Solana's doing. Solana's got airdrop season. It's got millions of users every single day in NFTs, meme coins, DeFi, staking protocols, whatever it is. Solana is dominating. Its TVL is locked up at quite astronomical levels compared to other chains. Its social trends are at all-time highs and outperforming Ethereum, which is pretty crazy. So I just don't see something sort of overtaking Solana. It doesn't mean that other things can't perform. So other layer ones or layer twos, like Arbitrum just hit an all-time high yesterday as well. But I think for me, I do have a small bag of Say just purely because it was something new. It's fast. It's obviously seeing a lot of traction in the NFT space. I don't know if you've seen those, Craig, as well. But
I haven't much. A little bit. There's I think there maybe 3 or 4 projects on.
Yeah.
Say,
I'll see if I can pull it up. Apparently, the website was a bit dodgy the last few days because of the traffic. Yep, here we go. So I'll pull it up here, guys. So this is what we're looking at. So these are Say NFTs. This is on palette.exchange. As you can see here, Sayins is the top collection. The Colony was one. Now, my group were in these. I'm telling you, before the hype was on Twitter, which is just crazy. Like, shout out to those boys and who got in early to those. But yeah, like, it's good to see other blockchains, and we've spoken about this as well. It's great to see other blockchains succeed. Like, don't get me wrong, but I just think you want to stick conviction in the main sort of plays. Otherwise, you're going to probably find that if you chase pumps like Say, for example, it might actually dump on you because it's gone up quite a lot. So if we do look at the chart, like, look at this, like, look at that, that's up only. So if you, like, literally, that's only 2 weeks, guys. In 2 weeks, it's gone up 2.5x. So that's 3.5x return. So that's 250%, which is 3.5x in 2 weeks, right? So you're kind of hitting maybe some blow off top sort of levels. And I wouldn't expect, maybe the ETF news drives these things higher, but then I probably look to just swing trade this and get out of Say and then rebuy maybe Avalanche. I know that Avalanche hasn't, it's up to 39. We might be pumping a little bit right now. So Avalanche, as I said before, guys, under 40. You want to be on the tokens that you know have proven records, right?
Yeah.
So that's Avalanche, that's IMX, that's Solana, that's Beam. Okay, that's other even gaming tokens like Vulcan Forge, which we haven't really touched on yet, but Vulcan Forge has moved up since that date. So it's tokens like that that you want to be essentially accumulating more of after you've made money elsewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with Say. I kind of missed the boat on that one. So I saw it being spoken a lot about on Twitter/X, and I was tempted to get in, and I still am tempted to get in, but I feel, I missed the. I don't want to say I missed the boat, but if I'm reading about it on X and it's done a 2.5x, I feel like I'm going to help someone exit. So I'm gonna sit back. As far as it being the next Solana, look, it might be, but not this run. I think it's going to take a back seat to AVAX probably this run as well. So I think maybe next bull that might be the AVAX of this bull. Of this bull. I could be completely wrong, but I've also sort of told myself this bull run, unless something's glaringly obvious in my mind, not to kind of chase little narratives, little pocket narratives that sort of come up, and just stay in my bag. So the main reason, because otherwise you end up with about 50 altcoins.
Yeah.
And I mean, even now I'm looking at my trading view, and I've got like 10 that I'm tracking at the moment. That I'm in, and it becomes a little bit overwhelming and hard, I suppose, hard to effectively trade it if you've got too much to look at. Last run I had about 30 to 35, and it was just too much, and it just I think it just decreased performance overall. So
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think it's one of those I'm clapping it on and I sort of missed that one, and I'll see if I can get in early on something, or just I still believe in the ones I've got anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's an important narrative, because like you can't, like, you want to be good at what you're good at, right? You don't want to spread yourself too thin. And I find a lot of people probably go, oh, hey, what about this new project? Or what about this new chain? And I would love to dive in there, but I'm so like busy, and like, I don't want to say I'm good at stuff, but you just learn to be better at certain chains, or you learn that you know how to make money on certain chains. So you don't want to lose that and then try and chase something else that actually doesn't come into fruition, right? And so I think it's really important that whilst you might want to have exposure over there, the simple way of doing that is just buying the token. And so for me, who doesn't have the time to go into Say and get those NFTs or farm whatever the airdrops are on those particular chains, I just buy the token and hope that it does go up. And obviously we are up. I can't remember what we got in around 55 cents, I think. So it's up like about 50%. So like that's the best way for me to sort of go about it, because at the end of the day, I probably don't have the time. I'd rather spend my time on Solana more recently, obviously, but ETH before that, but now actually BTC, and that's kind of a good swing into that conversation, Craig, because ordinals they're just something else. And I bought a Bitcoin Frog, and like they are down. In terms of USD value, they're probably down less than what they are in BTC. If I pull up the screen right now, just got to do that. If I pull it up right now, so I bought a BTC Frog, and like I still think they perform well this cycle, but there are some upcoming ordinals on BTC, so Wizards and some others that will be quite large. So I'm actually tempted to potentially just liquidate my Frog, my BTC Frog, and maybe pick up something that might just run a little bit harder. And so for me, these node monkeys, there has been a bit of FUD around node monkeys at the moment. I know Spawn's in the chat, and he's got some other BTC stuff, so shout out to you, Spawn, bro. But I think for me, like BTC Frogs, I think they perform well, but it's just, I don't know, they've been going down, and with more ordinal pressure coming in, I am worried that they move down a little bit further. Node monkeys have obviously gone up quite a lot. That's about a 5x from when I shared it in my group at 0.04 BTC. There's a lot of FUD around node monkeys, around the non-founders, around the mint, around the charitable donations that they were going to do, around some other facets, around how many wallets own node monkeys. So I don't know whether they last. Obviously, they've performed very well. I'm not trying to throw any FUD, but in my opinion, they might not last. Okay. And so that's where I then think, okay, does money then go into Bitcoin Frogs, or does it go into ordinal maxis? Okay. Which are, again, one of your top collections in ordinals over the past, like this is 30 days, guys. But like, if you look, the reason I went with BTC Frogs and not ordinal maxis is also because it was half the price, but also because BTC Frogs see a lot more volume compared to ordinal maxis. So I don't know if you've spent much time on ordinal space, Craig, at all.
I haven't. I did a little bit, maybe about 6-8 months ago. I can't even remember the projects I've got in my wallet. To be honest with you, I haven't spent a lot of time looking at them. I had seen some pretty insane returns.
Yeah,
but it's sort of what you mentioned before. I kind of I had a little look at them and all that, but I kind of sort of wanted to stick in my lane a bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the right time, and I guess I couldn't give it the time it deserved to actually to fully understand the ecosystem, and the nuances within that, and what people are going to gravitate to, and the cultural relevance of certain projects, and it's easy to miss or get those sorts of plays wrong, as with NFTs. You've got to be a lot more. Well, there's no tech. There's no
it's just on chain, right? It's just on chain, and again, this is what I was referring to. I shared this, so you can check this out 9 hours ago on my Twitter. But there's a bit of FUD going out there. They have this controversy, around what they were going to do with the project's money, and then another thing was here. This one was really important, really fascinating. I thought another problem that the community's been facing is that hackers took over its Discord on December 23rd. They still have not got back control again. Some other reasons down below as well. So I don't know. I'm not throwing FUD, but you just have to be careful. And that's what I said. My bottom line here, as always, the lesson here is to always be safe in crypto. So you just never know, because those 500, that one wallet that has 500 node monkeys could definitely just dump them all, right? And that could send them absolutely down to way back here, down to lows. So I don't know. It's definitely a space. If you do come to something like Crypto Slam, you'll see this is why I taught myself a couple of weeks ago to get in the BTC space, because you just come here and what you see is just dominance of BTC tokens, but also sales, right? Blockchain NFT sales. Like, yeah, obviously Solana's been a big one more recently. So in the past 30 days, Solana is nearly overtaking ETH. But look what's way ahead by 3x BTC. So I think people are kind of still fading BTC. I think ordinals are a great place to be. Obviously, like the frogs are here, and that's why I did my conviction there. So I don't know whether I just hold them and just stop being a wuss and worrying about the emotional side of it. But I kind of hold them as a hedge against Bitcoin as well, because I do think that maybe some NFTs on Bitcoin probably outperform Bitcoin in the longer term. So in other words, I bought it for about 0.26 BTC. Hopefully, as BTC goes up, I think it could maybe double in price to 0.5 BTC. So then I'm also hedging there, so BTC, and making money in the floor. So that was kind of my thinking with the frogs. So I don't know. I'll dive a little bit deeper into those later today. But obviously, yeah, you haven't spent too much time back on Magic Eden or in the Bitcoin space at all?
No, not enough. Nah, it's almost zero. Yeah, not about the same as Solana, really.
Yeah, and exactly. Oh, and so that's probably another little segue into what Solana's doing. Like I shared this in my group just it was about a week ago now, and so I said Mad Lads were at 145 or under 145 Sol, and Sol was at like quite high. It was at 110, but what I said is that if you pick up a Mad Lad around 145, I guarantee you, as Solana starts to consolidate and as Solana starts to either go down, you will see these run again. And they are up 40 Sol inside like a couple days. Like, it's pretty crazy how quick this can go up. That's the 10-minute chart. I was watching some other NFTs on the 10-minute chart. But this is, okay, so look at this big swing, okay? So a couple of things here. Obviously, listings are trending down. So that's a great sign when you're looking at NFTs, is listings going down. But then obviously you want to be seeing floor go up, okay? So what we're looking at here is that it might face a bit of resistance soon. So these are Mad Lads. But I literally was unsure whether to buy a Mad Lad down at these prices or buy a Bitcoin frog. Turns out I should have bought a Mad Lad, but that's okay. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy going across different chains. I'm happy having exposure to the ordinal space because of the volume like we just spoke about, right? But what you do start to see is some of these Solana NFTs are starting to run. And so I picked up 3 Bodoggos recently because they were really good value at 8 Sol, in my opinion. I think they're around 7.5 to 8.5 still. I think that's just a great long-term bet on the Nifty team. And I think Mad Lads is a big one. Obviously, we have some others. I still hold my Claynosaurus. They haven't really been going up too much. Obviously, Tensorians are also up 20 Sol. So we're starting to see some of these NFTs on Solana start to move out. Yeah, look at that chart. That's definitely a breakout there. So as you can see here, and that's what I said in the post too, I'm thinking about picking up a Tensorium or a Mad Lab, but I decided to go with the Bitcoin Frog. So I should have picked up a Solana NFT.
Yeah, that can be frustrating, can't it? But like you said, I mean, I remember you saying I think you talking. Was it the Nifty show? What's it called?
The NFT morning show.
Yeah. So you had mentioned you'd bought one there. Might still be a good play, man.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad play. I think you might just have to be patient.
Yeah, and I agree here with what Spawn's saying, mate. 1 Bitcoin Frog is 1 BTC, in my opinion, in time, mate. So, yeah, hopefully we get there. Obviously, a couple other things, guys. We've got plenty to still talk about. So if you are new here, please subscribe to both our channels. They're in the description on YouTube. So that's for Craig and myself. Obviously, if you are here, please like the stream on YouTube, but also like it on Twitter as well. It does support us as content creators in this space. And obviously, please follow us if you don't already. We do appreciate it. And if you do have any questions, guys, I'm checking the chat on both Twitter and also on YouTube. So please, let me know if you have any questions, or Craig any questions, and we'll be more than happy to talk about it. Okay, let's segue a little bit further, Craig, into I want to just talk about airdrop season. Okay, so obviously at the moment we're starting to see quite a lot of interest in airdrops. Okay, I'm not sure if you've been farming airdrops in particular. I can't get into my wallet right now, but anyways, the one I wanted to talk about, the one that I think a lot of people are still fading at the moment, is Blur. And so I know that you come from an ETH heavy background. I come from an ETH heavy background. So I still have exposure to some little ETH, but what I'm doing essentially is I'm staking it on the platform for Blur. I actually bought a little bit of Blur yesterday and added some more to the bag that I did when I first got my airdrop after season 2. So I have yeah, that staking, it's got quite a lot of points already, and I think that's just going to pay me out really well. But what I have been doing is I've been putting bids on the top collections, okay? And then putting the listing points as well to farm the airdrop, okay? Now, obviously, I can't connect my wallet because I haven't logged in yet. But essentially, what you do is you bid on the NFTs. I'm not sure if you've done this before too, Craig. And you can list as well, and you get listing points, but they're hidden. And then in time, you will get allocated to the Blast/Blur airdrop, which is in season 3, which is around rumored May 2023. Now, the other reason that I decided to go with Blur is because you can just liquidate it at any time. You can sell your Blur and take the points there and be happy with how much points you have accumulated for that Blur season 3 airdrop. Whereas a lot of other sort of airdrops, you might need to keep your liquidity in there, or you might need to keep farming it, or you might have a lockup period for certain things, okay? And so that's what I was looking at there. I'm not sure if you've spent much time in that capacity.
I haven't with Blur, but every time you speak about it, it makes me think I should.
It's like quite an easy passive way to go about it, right? And so this is what we were talking about at the top of the show is essentially what we've seen is that ETH is not going anywhere. So you want your ETH to be farming, or you want your ETH to be doing something. And so you can do that by airdrops. I know that a few people that I'm connected with have been doing the Manta. Is that correct? Airdrop. I'm not sure if you've been doing that one, Craig, as well. But there's a few airdrops out there. And so for me, Blur's is easy. You stake it on the platform, and then you throw some bids out on collections that you want. Obviously, the main one that I've been farming, and because there's this high volume, is Little Pudgies. It's very simple to just throw some bids in here. Accumulate your bid points and then list them if you do get them. And honestly, I'm happy holding a Little Pudgy into this cycle anyway. So that's my thinking in that capacity. Have you been farming any other airdrops, Craig?
I haven't. The only thing I got into recently was TIA. For that reason, so I'm staking that in hopes of, well, just in hopes, really, nothing more than that. But no, not really. I haven't farmed airdrops. I guess it's one of those things. There's just so much to look at all the time that I haven't. But TIA more of late I have. So I'm staking that. Are you staking that as well, Granny?
No, I need to get into that. No, I bought Celestia and Say just on my central exchange, and I've just been holding that since. Whereabouts do I go about that, Craig? Talk to me. How do I do that?
So yeah, you're just going to grab a Kepler wallet. So I think it's KEPLR.
Yep.
It's just a Chrome extension if you want to go that way. I did the same. I went to a Sex, and then I bought it, just sent it to that wallet. Nice and easy, man. If you've ever used a wallet before, there it is. And then obviously you just send it from your centralized exchange, wherever you buy it, to that wallet address. And someone's saying osmosis. And
is Osmosis another wallet, or is it?
I'm not sure.
I will look into that shortly.
And then you jump on there. It's really easy. Within the actual wallet, you can go manage portfolio, and then you just hit stake. And I've been told, I don't know why, so I'm just going to regurgitate some information, but just you want to stake it with one of the, what do they call it? I just want to get the right name for you. I'm just loading it now. One of the Celestia, I just want to see what I've got. Validators. So one of the validators outside of the top 20 with about a 5% commission rate you'll get.
That was going to be my next question, is how much APY are you getting, and is there a lockup period for your Celestia?
21 days
that's
lockup,
easy.
Which is, I'm not worried about that so much. I thought that was reasonable, and a 5% commission. They range between 5 and 100%, so probably don't pick one of the 100% ones for those who are listening. It's probably not a great idea. Outside of the top 20, so I just counted, boom, 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 went 22, 23, 21, 22. And I actually picked 2 different ones to do it in case one of the ones rugs. I was doing a bit of reading. A few people, like about 30 TIA will yield a reasonable amount. What that's based on, I've got no idea. I will look at it more. It's sort of one of those things. I heard about it. I thought that sounds easy. And the other thing that got me interested was whether the airdrop. Well, they did a drop for DYM. I hope you say, is it DIM?
Yeah.
So the multiplier on that, if you held TIA, was about a 3x for everything else. So that got me thinking, and I thought, okay, these guys seem half decent. And then looking at the chart and the interest in TIA to do that, I sort of thought, well, even if the airdrop's sort of a bit lackluster, the interest in the coin itself should get the coin to pump. like any good Ponzi. So I sort of looked at it and thought, well, you sort of got two ways to win here. Either you can win with the airdrop or airdrops, or the coin, or just the speculation of airdrop should drive the price of the coin up. So there's a couple of ways to get out of it.
That's a great, and that's the main thing. As long as you've got multiple sort of ways that you can play that, then that's the smart thing. And if the underlying token goes up, absolute bonus, right? And Celestia, obviously, we spoke about that earlier in the episode, and it's pumped up today.
It's 28% today, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm pretty sure they extended this to some NFT holders. I know that Pudgy's got exposure. Yep, Pudgy's copped it. Mad Lad's copped it, I'm pretty sure. Cool. Which is great. And and this is what I mean. You want to be in those top collections NFT wise because they have such good exposure to some of these plays right at the end of the day. And so for me, that's Mad Lads for sure. I think Mad Lads, I put an NFT post out recently and I said that Mad Lads probably go to about 60,000 US. I probably should have said 100 because I actually do think they go to 100,000 US. And maybe I should have picked up a Mad Lad instead of a Bitcoin Frog, but that's okay.
if those hit 100K, that's going to kill you.
I know.
But hopefully the Frogs do it too, man. But no, I saw Mad Lads qualified for that, and I thought that was
in time. Cool. And so, for sure. Sorry, guys. I think I'm just having a bit of lag. I'm just getting out of some of my tabs. All right. So, Craig, talk to me about what you're doing then at the moment. What sort of mark, like, are you just looking at altcoins, or can you talk to all of us about sort of what are your plays at the moment? Are you playing NFTs? Are you waiting on the Bitcoin news? Like, what's your strategy at the moment?
Not so much NFTs. I sort of wanted to go with safer bets just initially. So for me at the moment, I've just got my list of altcoins that I'm DCing into quite aggressively. I'd say I'm almost a third of the way as deep as I'd like to be. So I'm just sort of keeping an eye on those. So pretty much daily, got my levels set out that if it taps that, the rule is buy, right? So I've got all my buy levels set on about the 10 alts I want.
Yep.
Probably starting next week, I wanted to also just not basically shitcoin or meme coin for a week or two. A couple of reasons. One of them was the volume kind of died out a little bit. Although Solana's still been okay, ETH's been a bit tough, but I haven't really been in the trenches. But I wanted to have about a week or two off, just to not fry myself as well. And I'd been sort of in that zone so long now, probably the same as you, for about a year shitcoining. So I was sort of you get a bit burnt out. So I thought Christmas, good excuse, drinks, food, family, friends. So for me, just altcoins, and then probably starting Monday next week, I kind of feel like I've got a pretty good. I've got my toes dipped into all the alts I want. Now it's just about when the market allows me to go back in, so I can kind of I feel like I can take my concentration off them now and look at, I suppose, riskier gambles that will give you a higher return. Which will probably be shitcoins and NFTs. I see a few Ponzi's are sort of kicking off now, which is a good sign. I see Solana just had a rug. I think it was Solana. Was it Honey something that rugged?
It's funny you say that because I stepped away, not only because it was Christmas and New Year's, but I stepped away from meme coins because I saw the liquidity like starting to leave that space. I saw the volume starting to leave, and then I knew that people were probably going away for Christmas, going away for New Year's. So there's going to be less people actively trading. I also saw the amount of just sort of first pumps and then absolute dumps on Solana because you can just get out so quickly. And so for me, that was big red flags. And a few people in the group were like, oh, hey, how come we haven't been doing meme coins? It's because of all those reasons, right? And at the end of the day, I trade where liquidity is. I don't want to be saying, hey, jump into this token, and then it dies like 10 minutes later, right? So you just need to be careful because I think at the moment we are just waiting on those ETF sort of approvals, right? And if they do come, then the market will be great again. We could probably start to be a degen again. We can look at those low cap altcoins as well, which is probably a really good play this cycle later in the cycle once liquidity sort of trends down from top. BTC, ETH, Solana and stuff, as people start to take profits there, they will start to be degens way down in the 10 to 50 sort of million market cap levels, which happens every cycle. And I think NFTs are a good play. Obviously, I've been in NFTs for a while. I think we have started to see some NFTs sort of like just pop up. Like we were trading this one. Let me pull it up. We were trading this one yesterday. Like it's just an absolute, like it's a D-Riv on Solana, but it's just punk lines. Like we're looking at this. So you are starting to see some degen sort of plays. You are starting to see some mints come out, which is great to see. This was the one I was looking at, the 10-minute chart. But
did you get into these?
No, I did, but wait, like I got in about pretty much where price is yesterday is where I got in. A few people in my group, one guy in my group got in at about 0.5. Shout out to Matty for that. Yeah, he got in about 0.5 Solana. So
nice.
Yeah, it's like if you can catch these sort of plays early, then you definitely can make a bit of dough. But if you do catch them too late, a lot of these things do go to zero. So I think I still own one. I might try and sell that later today. But a lot of those things do go to zero. Woo, they do go to zero. And essentially what you want to make sure that you do is take profits, okay? And whether that is a swing trade or whether that's more of a long-term trade and you 2x, you 3x your money. But I think where a lot of people currently are not focusing is altcoins, because at the end of the day, where you make your biggest bag, and we spoke about this last week, like where you make your biggest bag is in your altcoin portfolio, your spot bags, where you can just accumulate more than 50% of your wealth in crypto, your portfolio, and then you can send that high up. Like I think my portfolio with Solana and stuff, I think that could still go 5x. And so I'm hoping that can make me quite a lot of money, and I've got quite a lot of money in that, but then I'm degenning over on the side to hopefully make more of those underlying tokens because they want to run up higher.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to do it. And it's a similar way to what I do. Is the only, I guess, the hard part about the altcoin thing is that it, for some people may be a bit boring. Yeah. So that's why it can be a good, you have maybe you might have whatever percentage, a large percentage in your altcoins. Yeah. And then a smaller percentage, it might be 5% or something like that, or 10% even in your meme coins, shit coins, whatever, just to kind of scratch that itch that you just, because I know I'm the same. You kind of, the hardest part about being in the market is not playing in the market.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you sit down every day and you sit down on your computer, you're probably the same, and you're looking for plays, right? That can be a risky thing to do, is look for plays. So, in saying that, though, I do it because I know I'm going to want to do it. So I tell myself, look, here's your side bag that you can muck around with. Yeah. Obviously not with the intention of rinsing it out, but just because I know what I'm like. So it's almost like you almost go into a third person and you go, right, what's Craig going to want to do this week? He's going to want to gamble.
Very true.
And so you just work yourself out and go, well, I'm just going to protect myself here and make sure it's a certain allocation of funds that you don't add to unless you decide to, I guess, but which is still a risk. But yeah, I will, like I said, I'll do that a bit next week, I think, but only if the volume's there. And like you said, with Sol, the only concern I had with those coins was I was seeing the same thing as you. Good pumps, but unless you were in the first pump, you weren't getting a second pump.
100%. So there was no continuation. Yeah, it was pumping and then dumping, and there was no continuation higher, right? No. Unless it was driven by people who are obviously shilling it and that type of stuff, which is inauthentic in itself, right? And so just to show you guys what obviously, like, it's always good to check out the larger meme coins because that shows you the sort of trend. If they're trending up, then that shows you that there's probably other lower meme coins that'll be moving up. So this is Dog with Hat, obviously one of the top ones on Solana. But as you can see here, it broke down this structure. It's now back in here, but this looks quite weak to me. Whether this breaks up higher, that will be yet to see. I think maybe in the right circumstances it might, but obviously this is a good indication. Obviously, if we look at Bonk, for example, it's just, this is what I like to look at. And this is, again, it's time consuming too, Craig. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. To find good, safe trades, it takes time. And I think there's just better, time can be used for better things at the moment, in my opinion, in crypto. And that could be NFTs, that could be learning about ordinals, that could be finding new altcoins that have a Solana narrative or that have a gaming narrative, okay? I think there's better plays that are going to be more longer term, right? And so if, again, this is Bonk on my screen right now, guys, and as you can see, there's weakness in the chart. So if I see weakness in Bonk and something like, what do we just have on the screen with, then that shows me, okay, people probably aren't wanting the top ones, so people don't want the bottom ones, right? And so even though we, up the top, obviously this one up here, I haven't even looked at this, but this has, so this has run up 650K. It has moved up. So there's still money to be made, but like you just said, you have to be early. Otherwise, you're just missing out on these plays.
Yeah, exactly the same thing I'm seeing. And like what you said with Bonk trending down like it has been, it just, I just didn't have confidence. The market just doesn't seem interested at the moment.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of the second week of January brings in regards to where people decide they want to play. I suspect, a lot of people are probably still away. A lot of people are probably still on annual leave and things like that. So that normally does mean people are gambling, but I sort of found the pre-Christmas was quite good to trade. And then probably from Christmas, New Year's, hasn't looked great to me. So I'm just sort of sitting on my hands at the moment. I'm going to keep buying those altcoins. And actually, funny enough, what you said, the next layer to that would be finding sort of smaller micro caps within alts. That's probably the next thing I'll do this coming weekend. Is finalize maybe 2 or 3 riskier plays in micro caps. Nothing in particular I'm looking at the moment, but I'll spend this weekend sort of deciding what I want to go into, make my bets on that. And then once that's done, I'll kind of be ready just to muck around with NFTs and meme coins when the market allows it.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. If the market is slow, okay, and we are obviously, like, we've established ourselves as solid traders in the meme coin space, and that doesn't mean that we can't do that. It's often actually probably healthy for you to move away from that space if the liquidity is there, if the volume's not there, if the people aren't there, if they're breaking down. So Luke's asking right now, is Bonk a longer term hold? Probably not at these levels. I'd probably wait a little bit lower, Lukey, before we might see some better plays for Bonk. But that's it. And this is what you want to dive deeper then. So spend your time, rather than trying to find some really degen sort of plays, spend your time actually learning about some of these games that could absolutely pop off, or spend some time learning about how to buy ordinals, okay? And setting up a Bitcoin wallet, because that they are clear narratives this cycle. And I think a lot of people are still fading them. And I think I just see it happening like the ETH thing last cycle. So people start fading them. It'll get to mid-year and people go, oh, you know what? I want to buy an ordinal now. And so I think a lot of people will be like, and then ordinals will be so expensive then. And then a lot of people fumble their bags. They'll get in too late. They're buying the peak rather than getting in and spending the time learning now and finding some newer projects on Bitcoin now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, even with me buying, TIA and getting the wallet and staking and that was, it was quite funny.
Great example.
I was chatting to a bunch of people in a group chat about the wallet and setting it up, and it was quite funny because I felt like I hadn't learned something for a while.
Yeah,
and it was quite good to feel like when you first installed MetaMask and you're like, holy shit, am I gonna stuff this up and lose all my money I'm sending to this wallet? So it's like kind of like what you said when the market was doing its thing. I was like, here's an opportunity. I can also learn. I don't know whether this coin's even going to do anything, but I think it will.
Yeah.
But it was just good to learn another wallet and another chain and another group of people that are within that little ecosystem, because obviously there's certain groups of people that tend to just stay within their little realm. And it's quite interesting on your timeline when you start speaking about stuff. It's quite a good way to increase the size of your network. Or one side effect of it is that these people will then come into your network that you hadn't spoken to before, who could be very knowledgeable on a topic. So that was just good in itself.
And there's so many smart people out there. I actually followed ZK.
Big brains,
I followed ZK. Is it ZK Sync or ZK Shark on Bitcoin on Twitter the other day. That man is insane in terms of Bitcoin and knowledge and ordinals and stuff. And so you want it. That's it. I think you're not losing anything by not trading, right? What you're actually gaining is knowledge and education around maybe some better plays longer term that could be even more lucrative than what we've been doing for quite a while. And that's a big thing I think that a lot of people get stuck in crypto, is they get stuck in that mindset of, oh, this is what happened last time, or this is what I'm good at. And they get afraid of change. They get afraid of where new blockchains are. A lot of people missed out on Solana early days because they were just like, no, ETH's better than Solana. It's like, bro, just follow where the money goes, follow where the users go. And then I think people just struggle with change. I think I commented on a Beanie post the other day, and he's like, yeah, follow the narratives. If you're like, this is the disbelief stage. No, it's not, man. Like, we've known that it's been pumping for a while. And I said a classic example of that is people that are holding mutants rather than holding a pudgy penguin when they're the same price. And so going with the right players is essential in crypto to succeed. And I think that's really underrated. And I think not enough people talk about that. A couple of the comments. So this is Clitoris. He's in my group. Shout out to you, mate. I don't know how to Bitcoin. Well, I'm going to do a tutorial. I'm going to do a video on that because I do think, again, it's an education gap. I think there's a lot of potential in the ordinal space, in the Bitcoin space. So I think that's definitely one that I'm looking at doing very shortly. Luke is asking about Bonk. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. I'm never going to give you financial advice, bro. But I think if you look at the chart, it is looking a bit weak at the moment. I think maybe having some liquidity on the side for a dump and buying altcoins like we've been speaking about this episode is probably a better play, in my opinion. I don't like Bonk could still go up. It's obviously down 50% from its all-time high, if not 60%, I think now. So I think it's not a bad play. There was another comment I want to show. Where is it? Where was it? Oh no. Here, yes. This one's very important. Okay, shout out to you, mate, for Riverdale, for being here, mate. So many are fading Cosmos ecosystem, got a huge wins, good luck. I do agree, and that's why Craig was in Celestia. That's why I bought a bag of Say. I think Cosmos is definitely not a bad ecosystem to be hedging your bets as a sort of other layer one sort of play at the moment. I don't obviously own any Atom, but diving down, and that's it. Spending time, rather than spending time degenning and maybe making a quick flip of half a soul or whatever, spend time actually learning about a hot narrative, the Cosmos ecosystem or the blockchains that they're building, all of that type of stuff. I know that the Nifty Portal Show, we're talking heavy about that. Nick knows his stuff around that whole coding side of things. Last night in their episode, or this morning for them, sorry. And I think that's important. I think a lot of people probably aren't educated in certain different blockchains or different spaces. So I think it's a really good way to simply improve your knowledge and make smarter decisions as a whole in the crypto space.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I see someone's asking about Greeny, websites or articles to learn how to research which coins could go. Tricky one.
That is a tricky one.
What's your take on that?
I think I go to trending. So I go to CoinMarketCap. I go to TradingView just to check the charts. But I go to CoinMarketCap at the end of the day to see what's moving up. I'll just show you how that works. So let me pull that up. And then I want to talk about the ETF stuff too, Craig, eventually. So I go to, let's pull it up. All right, so I go to, this is gaming just as an example, right? I go to the narratives that I like. So that's obviously, I actually released a video on that on YouTube just last night. My favorite altcoins on under 6 narratives. Layer 1s, Layer 2s, meme coins, gaming, Solana ecosystem, and AI/data are my narratives that I'm playing this cycle. Obviously, I'd go to them and I would start to look at some of the tokens. So if I look at just 24-hour return, okay, I would dive into some of these. Obviously, some of these are just pumping because an influencer shielded them or because maybe they've had an influx of users, whatever it is. But you want to dive your research in there. Alternatively, you can do the 7-day one, okay, and you start to dive down into some of these. So for example, Beam's up 20%. So if you don't know what Beam is, go do your research, find out what Beam is. And you'll find that that's an easy way for me to find some new altcoin plays. Obviously, Twitter is a big one for me as well. I follow a bunch of different people on Twitter who I know have just been great in the space for a long period of time. So finding some good accounts that just on top of the narratives, on top of the players, on top of volume, I think is a very important play at the end of the day. That's one way you can do it, but there's just reading news articles is a great one. So there's obviously plenty of news articles out there on Cointelegraph and Crypto Decrypt. We have the block as well, I think, out there. So there's definitely ways that you can go about it. And I think actually spending time in communities, right? And so Divine community, my community, the Badogo community, they are very strong communities and people know shit, right? And so if you can talk to some people, they know more than what you do. So if that's my biggest thing as well, learning from other people, seeing what's happening out there, you will actually find that other people know way more about stuff that I don't know about, but we brought them together to help us all be educated and all progress and make some money in 2024.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's, I guess, a strength of numbers, and it's something that I sort of preached for a long time was, it doesn't matter which group you go to, but find a community, find a bunch of people that you sort of trust. I was going to say know and trust, but it's hard to know people, but at least trust, and sort of hang out and just listen, and you'll soon work out who's who, right? And you're going to have your, you're going to have your shillers within a group. You're going to have your quiet people in a group, but maybe quite knowledgeable. And then once you get your confidence up, start to ask questions. And if you're in a good group, the questions will be answered well.
Yeah.
And if it's a crap group, you'll be ridiculed for asking the question, and that's your time to leave.
Yeah.
But soon enough, you spend enough time in the space. I suppose that's probably where I got most of my knowledge from was just hanging out in communities and you know what, and also be helpful yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed was, in different metas, NFT ones was a big one, and shitcoins as well. You were probably the same, Greenie, when, meme coins were popping off and we're doing 10, 100Xs daily.
Yeah.
The amount of DMs I got saying, hey, man, where are you getting this information from? Can I jump in that group?
Yeah.
And the thing is, the information's out there, but you're probably the same. I'm in about 100 groups, 150 groups. So it's more a case of I sit down and read the paper in the morning, which is those groups.
Yes.
And then from those groups, I curate the things that I think are going to kick off, which I think people struggle with because they think there's a central hub of information. There's not.
No, it's like you say, it's time and effort. And I think it's fine tuning that time and effort. And I think that took me years of experience, right?
Yeah.
Years and years. Like this is like I'm going on, I think 8 or 9 years now in crypto. And so that took me years and years. And then it takes connections. And so growing your connections on Twitter is so underrated for these reasons, right? That's why we have, like, Craig and I are in quite a few groups together. And all of these groups that you're in, there's a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of shit ones too. Yeah. And so what you have to find, and what I do is I actually pin the good ones so that I always go straight to them.
Yeah.
And then the shitter ones I actually mute, but I still want to be a part of it because you never know what can happen. They might have a really good call, or they might be talking about something else that one of the other groups are. So it's really important to have those. And I think that's really important because then I take information from other people, or they take my information and then they go share it with their communities. Yeah. And that's how information grows in crypto. And I think that's really important. And I think it's finding like-minded people. Like, this is why Craig and I kind of bounce off each other, because we are like-minded. We have the same sort of philosophy in crypto. We have the same sort of experience in crypto. And I think if you can find people like that, you will be successful, and join groups that are like that. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to join pump and dump groups. You don't want to join those telegrams that say, I'm buying this shitcoin at 10K, jump in, and you'll be your exit liquidity, right? And like, I need to be careful of that, because sometimes I do get a bit frugal with that. And so I need to be careful about that, because at the end of the day, my whole philosophy is all about educating and getting people some wins, but also teaching them how to go about it in their own ways, which is the end of the story for me. And that's what I want people to be successful with. So this is a good segue into this comment here. So BTC ETF will be the biggest seller news event in crypto history. I actually disagree. I'm a big disagree fan of that. The reasons for that is, if, like, I've been around a very long time in this space, you have no idea what it was like in 2017, 2018. Like, the whole speculation of this cycle, even speculation in 2021, 2020, was just still, again, what is Bitcoin? Like, is this a scam? Like, and I still talk to my normie friends today. I still talk to them. They go, isn't that a scam? I'm like, no, bro. It's like one of the top 10 assets in the world. But
there's so much room to go. And also the other thing, I suppose, if you want to have a look historically what ETFs tend to do, you just look at the gold ETF when it got approved.
Exactly.
So for me, I mean, I understand where that person's coming from.
I do agree. Yes.
And short term, that might be true. Verge 2.0 vibes. I sort of think long term the ETF's going to send it. How can it not? Because it's going to allow massive financial institutions to pour investor funds in. Yeah. How that doesn't make price go up is beyond me.
And I think, and this is probably a good thing too, if you actually, like, we'll just pull this up. So only 39% of financials survive, believe it'll be approved. Again, like, this is all like pure speculation. It's either speculation, it's hype, or it's FUD. And nobody knows except for the team that's delivering the news. So you can read all you want about it. You can hear rumors. You can hear some potential players. But at the end of the day, you just find out once the information is actually out there, right? And Twitter will be the first thing to know. I follow a few big Twitter news things, and that's a good way to keep up to date with some breaking news as well in the space. But I think that's really important, Craig. You can try and swing trade this. You could, like, the only time I might take profits is if I see Solana at an all-time high and BTC at an all-time high. I might take some off because I do think we might bleed for a few months after. If the ETFs do get approved and then they do pump, I think it's probably not a bad bet to maybe take 20% off the table, because we were in quite early. I know I was picking up Solana under 20. I was picking AVAX like quite low. I was picking it up around $10 or $12. So I think those sort of tokens are probably, I might want to liquidate that just because you never know what could happen. And I think it is, so that in a way I do kind of align with maybe taking some profit off the table, but I'm still extremely bullish, if not the most bullish I have ever been once these get approved.
Yeah, same as me. I mean, I remember last cycle we were all fighting around, or people arguing about China banning Bitcoin. That was the narrative last bull. Elon obviously, buying Bitcoin, that was a big plus. And every second day, China was banning Bitcoin, right? And they were like, which country's going to ban Bitcoin? Which country? You're not really hearing that too much now, are you? No one's banning Bitcoin. In fact, don't China have a massive amount of Bitcoin?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do, and it's probably undisclosed as well. So,
which is interesting for the country that's banning it to have the most or close to the most after the US. And interesting enough, I think the US has a shitload of it that they've confiscated from people, which I find quite funny. Not funny. The irony of it is funny to me.
So if you look here, like I just did a quick search around gold. So gold prices eventually doubled after its ETF launch. It took about 4 years. Obviously, I think Bitcoin's probably at a lower market cap. It probably has more eyes on it these days. We're in a digital era. It's blockchain technology. It's decentralized. Exactly. It's more accessible. It's not a physical product, which makes it more appealing. However, that's what the boomers will tell you, that it's not physical, so why is it not real? And so I have that argument all the time with a lot of people. But like, as you can see here, if I can pull this chart up, hopefully it doesn't rug me. Let's have a look. We'll accept these cookies. So if we have a look here, this is where the gold ETF launched, and look at that. Tell me about this chart that doesn't scream bullish after an ETF news, right? Nothing.
Yeah, look, it was hard to lose. I mean, even if you bought the news there, you made heaps of money. So
exactly.
I mean, look, I think the main thing it will do is just stamp the seal of approval, so people like your auntie or uncle will hear about it, and probably, if they're having funds managed, they may even hold some and not know.
That's and so true, and that's it. Like we'll start to see. We'll start to see super funds. We'll start to see investment funds. I've got a friend who trades actively every single day for a hedge fund, and so he says that he trades cryptocurrency at the moment because it's lucrative, right, and because you can swing trade it and that sort of thing. So this is what I'm talking about, the upside of Bitcoin, right? So we've moved in the top 10. We've overtaken Berkshire. Sorry, sorry, mate. We'll overtake you. No troubles. And as you can see, we're starting to. Facebook's next. Nvidia's probably maybe a few months away. But as you start to see, a lot are in that $1 to $3 billion range, and then there's a huge jump up to gold. Yeah. I think Bitcoin can easily, like my cycle target minimum's probably 120 to 150. So that's a 3 to 4x. So 3 to 4x on this puts Bitcoin as number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so I don't
agree.
know.
That'll even be great when it takes silver, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. And that's a big one. If it overtakes silver, which isn't far away, like that's less than a 2x now. So if BTC, pretty much, I think if BTC goes to an all-time high, it'll be very close to silver.
And I know people, I've got friends out there with a couple in particular that have a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And so they own one of Australia's biggest lending institutions. So they are heavy. The reason I'm bringing it up is they're heavy into gold and silver. Yeah, that's where they store a lot of their wealth. The biggest issue they've got is where do you store the gold and silver when you have large amounts? And my friend won't even tell me where it is. Right? I don't even want to know where it is either. But it's clumsy for people like them to have to go to buy gold, drive to an undisclosed location, probably bury it, I'm going to guess, or put it in a safe somewhere. Versus Bitcoin, which you can just pop on a ledger or wherever you want to, and just put, it's that big, and it can have millions or billions on it. Versus physical gold, if you have to flee a war-torn country,
Yes.
It's
Yes.
probably a
That's a
lot
great
easier
one.
to carry Bitcoin on you than it is to carry gold or silver.
Very much so. Yeah.
So that's the sort of things I think about. Is I think sometimes people also forget there is countries out there that a lot of the world don't have access to banks. I mean, I won't go on about this too much. This is like
I think it's an important point, though. I think it's a very valid point. So yeah, keep going.
There's the use cases to this. I mean, I guess actually it's funny. I was listening to a Michael Saylor interview yesterday, just to kind of remind myself. I did it purposely to remind myself of the use cases of Bitcoin again.
Yeah.
And listening to him speak, it was like, yeah, this is it's big.
Yeah.
I think that it's massive, and the ability to, the Lightning Network, for Bitcoin to allow these countries or people. Did I hear a stat? It was like, I can't remember how many. It was like half the world's population doesn't have access to a bank account.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. And a lot of these countries,
it's a number that's too high, right?
Yeah.
So I guess if you're looking at it from a product perspective, is it a product that a lot of people need or would find useful? Yes. How many of them are there? Billions. Yeah, it's probably a good product to have.
Yeah.
Prior to approval. I think that it'll be funny. I think we're going to look back in about a decade. I was thinking about this when I was listening to his interview, and I was like, I've got a feeling I'm going to look back at this moment and think, why the F didn't you just load up, man? Like,
I know. I'm kind of,
so I'm trying to keep myself measured on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it could be the one that you just don't sell. I don't know. Maybe if you take profits on like Solana and AVAX and stuff this cycle, and maybe like just holding Bitcoin, like, and that's my main reason with buying my Bitcoin Frog, is to just store it away so I don't just sell Bitcoin because I want to make more ROI this cycle. But I think it's not I often say this to people. I treat Bitcoin as a savings account, right?
Yeah,
I think over time it's probably going to outperform a lot of savings accounts, and often a savings account, whilst you need liquidity for buying a mortgage or whatever it is, groceries, a savings account is actually less than what inflation is in most countries, right? And so you are actually losing by holding your money in a savings account. And so why not put it into, obviously you have stocks, you have the S&P 500, which has trended up for a long time. You have property in Australia, for example, has trended up for like, I don't even know, it's like 80% of the last 80 years or something. Property's just always gone up, right? And so maybe there are some great ways to diversify your portfolio, but then those ways can be sometimes illiquid, I find. And so for me, I want to maybe diversify into property in a couple of years' time by making some gains this cycle. But then I also maybe want to just hedge and have some Bitcoin. And as price does go up higher, obviously more people will be like, why would I want 0.0001 Bitcoin? Well, because it's still probably going to outperform a lot of other markets.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin, I'm not exactly sure of the number, but is it about 170% a year return on average? Something like that. So, I mean, Michael Saylor, not to harp on too much about him, but if he sort of asked a question and he said, if you had money that you wanted to put aside for future generations and you wanted that money to hold value for 100 years, where would you put it? And now that's a really good question. Yes. Because if the answer was cash, well, in 100 years, you'd lose about 99.6%, I think it was.
Correct. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then 170% return, which outdoes everything on Bitcoin, and that's forever, the whole time it's existed has been that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think, holy shit. Are my grandkids going to crack the shits at me because I didn't buy more?
And that's what I'm thinking. Like, once the last halving happens, which is like 2130 or something, well, like long after we'll probably be around, which is kind of sad to think about. But like, it's also like, okay, am I really fading something that could be worth millions of dollars in the future? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think about it, and I think, well, you think of, Bitcoin, and I hear people go, oh, it can never be $1 million. Well, there's been times in, say, World War II, and I when I was young, I used to collect stamps. So I remember I had a stamp from Germany, and the number on the stamp that you had to pay for in cash was this number that was so long. I can't remember how much was printed on the stamp, but it was like 000. That's how little value money had.
Yeah.
So it's not so much a case of how much Bitcoin's worth. It's more a case of how shite's the dollar.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. And often a lot of these dollars do, I think, I know another crazy stat, a lot of currencies do go to zero eventually.
Well,
whether it takes,
Venezuela, I think, lost 80%.
yeah,
Lebanon, I think
yeah,
it was Lebanon lost. Oh man, it's crazy what these and the thing I think Western countries forget is it can happen here.
yeah,
So I think it's a case of I sort of look around at the world and it's going to go digital, right? It already is.
100%.
People getting chips put in their hands, so
Yeah,
it's going digital. It's an exciting time, man. I could rant all day about it, but
I love
Bitcoin.
it.
Just listening to him yesterday, I was like, oh man, it sort of reignited that the kind of the original reason I came to the space.
Yeah. The disruption. Yeah, the disruption, the innovation of the tech, the decentralized factor of it all is probably what excites me the most about it. Like you say, I think we often forget what the rest of the world's like because living in Australia is actually fantastic. Yeah. It's a great country. Obviously, we have heavy tax and that sort of thing, but it's also for good reasons. Okay, our healthcare is great. Our road structures are great. We are safe outside. All of these different things are essentially our way of life is really good. And I think it's really hard sometimes because you do, like you just said, third world countries, which I will be traveling to in a few months' time. I think they don't have stable government. They don't have stable currencies. They have inflation that is over 100%. I'm thinking something like Zimbabwe or something like that, where their currency and it's like just so manipulated. It's so many different things, right? And so I think it's important that maybe people value Bitcoin or value some other currencies in crypto because they are a decentralized worldwide thing that people can, like you just say, chuck on a ledger, chuck on a treasure, and then you can take that wherever you want in the world. You don't have to physically hold it in a bag like gold, okay? You don't have to worry about trying to sell your asset before a war comes or whatever it is, right? You can just go, yep, I've got this.
And it's
I've got
liquid
this.
as well, right?
Exactly.
Like if you need to liquidate quickly, you can. But whereas, versus gold, which I still think is great, you're still going to have to find someone who wants it, trade. Whereas Bitcoin, you just jump on, chuck your ledger in, you can sell it. You have money in 1 second. So it's also very liquid. So yeah, I need to buy some Bitcoin.
I know. And like shout out to Sexy again. Like we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago in my group, and he really made it clear and like said a few different things. Like I think you want to have a bit of Bitcoin, like you definitely do. And whether that is at the sacrifice of Ethereum, for example, or whether I do take some of my Solana off the tables and put it into Bitcoin, I think, you got to have at least some allocation to Bitcoin. Obviously, it's not going to do the best returns compared to other things, but at the end of the day, it's still going to return. It's still going to trend upwards in time, in my opinion. And I just don't see it stopping, particularly as we touched on just before with the gold ETF. It's gone up 4x, and that's gold. Okay, so Bitcoin's probably going to do the same, if not more, in time. Obviously, Klidos is asking, do you think we see Sol all-time high this run? Yeah, no brainer, mate. Yeah, of course we will.
Yeah, I'm betting on it.
Yeah, no, same. So I think outside of that, Craig, I didn't have too much else to talk about today. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I think one thing I wanted to bring up that I had in my notes is I see companies are starting to offer crypto credit cards again.
Ooh.
So Zebec is one, ZEBEC, just to put that on people's radars. Now, I don't know how good these guys are, but basically what they're allowing you to do is connect your MetaMask or Phantom wallet, and you get a temporary credit card, which you can then connect with Apple Pay. And you spend USDC. Oh, I'm going to get my brain around that. Yeah. You spend that, so you deposit that, and you've got a basically a temporary credit card you can use online and things like that. Or when you put on your phone, physically use it, I suppose. So I like that sort of thing. I would like to not have money in the bank so much. The main reason is because I know they can take it away. And I don't, and I look at the world and I think, when's the time going to come that if you're a naughty citizen, you get things taken away? So capital preservation. So I guess just to quickly touch on that credit card's cool to see, because then you can actually use your stablecoin to purchase real life stuff versus having to on-ramp and off-ramp to a bank, which is obviously, it has tax implications as well.
Yeah, of course.
There's a few reasons for wanting that. So, No, just it was just good. Oh, sorry. And the other thing was Australia qualifies.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that was the other thing that's been cumbersome in the past is this crypto credit card's nothing new, but Australia or this side of the world tends to struggle to utilize anything like that because Australia is very. They don't, obviously, because the taxation's high, they don't really like allowing other things to tiptoe around here, right?
Yes.
So it's good to see companies offering solutions to problems this side of the world. I think it's about 144 countries. So
wow, that's pretty good. That's like 75%. So
dude, it's great. Yeah. And that once that company comes in, more going to come. They're going to offer, then you're going to start seeing things probably like staking rewards if you put it on there.
Yeah.
Loans. I know a company could. I don't know if you've come across the Nexo.
No, not yet.
So Nexo, I used that last bull run. So Nexo in Australia qualifies for this. It's basically you can store your crypto there. You get a return on staking it, but you can also loan against your assets.
Mm-hmm.
So I was loaning against my crypto last year. So in other words, getting a loan back. By the way, this works only if market goes up or holds. If it goes down, you get yourself in trouble for those listening. But I was basically taking loans against my Bitcoin and then using cash to pay off the loan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few reasons you might want to do that. People can look into that for themselves. But basically for me, it was I was able to then utilize my assets and use cash to pay it off. So that was great last run. The only time it comes undone and when Bitcoin shits itself. And you have to pay off the gap.
Which is probably the same, as any sort of lending protocol if it goes down.
Correct. So be aware that a 40% dip does hurt if you're loaning or borrowing. But other than that, no, not really. But it was just, I guess, for me, exciting to see real world applications coming through, which obviously it comes through more in a bull run. So another sign we're not in disbelief, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we're in disbelief.
No, I think this is a great.
Anyone who's still in disbelief is going to miss the boat, man.
You probably have already, and you probably missed that 20% dip that we saw the other day, right? And I think that's testament to where this space is evolving to. The fact that we now have big Web 2. Like I know that MasterCard and I know that Visa and stuff have been wanting to implement crypto for quite a long time. And I think it's not a bad shout that we're seeing more businesses and more people not only accept it, but also integrate technology of blockchain or Bitcoin payments, whatever it is that they're going through or coding into their softwares and into their business models, into their companies, so that then they see the success of it happening, right? And so I'm sure there's a lot of things out there that use blockchain technology one way, shape, or another. You just don't know about it yet, I think.
Yeah, I think there's loads waiting to come through. And that's the other reason with that Bitcoin ETF. I think that a side effect of that will also be massive real world applications by Web 2 style companies or companies that don't even exist yet. And it's going to be interesting to see, you had in the .com sort of time, you had MSN Messenger and you had all these things that sort of came along and became juggernaut. Facebook is the obvious one, right? MySpace and then Facebook. It's going to be really interesting to see what sort of juggernaut comes from this, and I suspect there will be a new player that will come in and disrupt everything.
Well, you think about it, like we're probably nearly at the time frame where we haven't had a disruptor for a while. Like I'm not really plugged in maybe to the younger gen at these sort of times, but like you think about it, it was obviously Facebook. Well, it was MySpace first, and it was Facebook. It was MSN, MySpace, MSN. This is going back 2005-ish, 2006, 2007. Then it was Facebook. Then it was Instagram. Then it became Snapchat. And then it went to TikTok. And now we're currently in that. Like, obviously, we have Vine and other social medias in there. But we are in a weird space where I actually think X takes over a lot of the world. I saw some crazy stats the other day about I think it was users on X is only at 500 million or something. I can't remember. Whereas users on Facebook, because how old Facebook is and how many people got into it to connect with other people around the world, Facebook was sitting at about 4x that. So X has a lot of upside, and I think with the integration of payments, the integration
that's going to be insane, dude.
Dude, I'm getting Twitter ad revenue. I don't know if you are. Like,
I am too. It's a
juicy little
not
payment.
A lot, but hey, man.
Exactly.
It's funny when I check my bank account, I'm like, oh, there's $100 in there or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's just from Twitter. It's, it's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And the other thing it's going to allow people to do is, we've just spoken about it before, for the unbanked, if you've got X allowing payments to be made, yes, I know they have to have access to a device and they have to have X. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it removes a lot of friction for
Yeah.
a lot of people who don't have access to get to a bank, or they don't have. What will be interesting is if X allows payments to be made if they don't, if the user doesn't have an ID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not
How
verified.
they deal with that.
Yeah.
I suppose there'll be a lot of laws around that, but X integrating payments will be massive. And that's one of the main reasons I'm so bullish on X.
Yeah.
From a creator point of view, as well as just it kicks ass point of view. And I haven't made my mind up about Elon. I don't know if he's the good guy or the bad guy or what he is, but the technology he's bringing with X and what he's going to provide or allow people like you and me and people from all walks of life to be able to utilize a platform that will pay you and make your life perhaps easier. And I kind of see everyone eventually from Facebook and that maybe migrating there, because for me, if X allows payments like that, Facebook to me just seems so.
Oh, it's been dead for years. I don't know what you think.
So old.
It's old. I think it's dead. I don't know about you.
I don't use it.
No, I use it for
I don't
marketplace.
even I have an account, but I haven't actually logged into Facebook in probably at least a year.
Yeah.
Much to my family's frustration, my older family, because they love, to snoop on me there, I suppose. But they can come over to X and snoop on me talking about weird shit on X. But I have an Instagram I don't use. I did last bull run.
Yeah.
I was using it a little bit, but this time, it's all X. That's where the information is. That's where the latest information is.
Yes, up to date. Yep.
And I kind of, I don't know what everyone else is like. I'm a bit older, but I think using Facebook just costs you money. It's just time. And it's for me, I just found you just mindless scrolling versus I'd rather just mindless scroll in X and maybe learn something.
Yes, and that's it. And I think I find a lot of great intel on X. You follow some great accounts, you get up-to-date information, like you said.
And it's fast. It's so fast.
And you can advertise so many different things. Like you can have your links on there. You can have so many different things. So yeah, it's amazing. And I think that's probably a great chat to end on, Craig, today. A couple last points. Obviously, Craig and I will be doing more streams in the future. We'll do this weekly, whether that's on a Friday, whether it's a Thursday or early in the week, just depends on our schedules. So we will make sure we promote that as much as possible. So again, if you are new here, please subscribe to us both on YouTube. If you are new here on Twitter as well, please follow us on Twitter. We do appreciate it, and smash the like button on both videos because it helps us grow as content creators. Just one last little plug. Obviously, the DGen show is a new space that I've started up with a couple other Australian boys from Melbourne. So Mad Rag and Einstein. We're doing a special edition again of a show today. Yesterday we did it as well. So we had 250 people tune in, and the day before we actually caught the news of the dump the day before. So 720 people joined our third spaces ever. So it's popping off in that space. So again, we'll be live in about 3 hours time on Twitter. So please do check that out if you are new, and please follow our account, the DGen Show. It's where you can come up to date with our newsletter. We just dropped our second newsletter this week as well. So it's just about market trends, airdrops, what we're looking at for players, all that type of stuff. So please follow the DGen Show on Twitter because it is a new little thing that we're doing. So shout out to you, Craig. Thanks, mate, for being here again. I really do appreciate it. I think it's great to chat, mate, weekly.
Yeah, no, thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And I think, we're going to have a good 2 years of chats here, I think, man. We're going to have a lot to talk about, and then we can sail off into the sunset, and we can do this from our yacht. So, I'll see you in Monaco. Thanks for everyone that tuned in and giving us your time, and hopefully we've helped a couple of people.
Yeah, excellent, mate. Yeah, some great conversations today, guys. So do check out the episode if you haven't. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it back at a little bit of a faster speed if that's something that you like to do. And lastly, I'm going to be dropping another YouTube video later today, so please keep your eyes out for that one. So shout out to Craig for being here, and thanks all for tuning in. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Right. Cheers, guys. Ciao.